That is a really good question, Christina. I wonder that myself. Welcome, good afternoon and good evening and good morning to everyone who's joining me. And, if you're watching on YouTube, welcome all the same. Thank you so much for your resubscription, Brian. I really appreciate that. Can't believe it's been 2 months or the second month as an affiliate on Twitch on this exclusivity deal. That's kind of crazy. Time is just going away. It's March already. That's crazy. I can't quite believe it. Thank you also for following 89Chi and Astronaut Assassin and Ronnie and Walrus Pie. Very much appreciated all your support here on Twitch. I really like that. I did a premiere this morning on YouTube of the stream that we did was it last week? No, that was on Sunday, wasn't it? I believe it was Sunday. No, Saturday. My God, I'm getting everything confused. Monday, maybe. I don't know. The last stream of the Polygon City thing. And I'm so sorry, Steve, that you couldn't get a copy of that Best of Polygon bundle that I put a link in the description of the previous video to. It was only on sale for 2 days, and it's one of those things. And hello, Rod, as well. Very exciting. Good to see you again. I've rendered some animatics and I've done a lot of testing, and I thought today we could take some time and put some background animation into the scene we built last time. So it took a while for it to get up and running there, but I think it looks great. I say let's have a look. I also need to do some organizing in regards to how we go forward with this scene. I just don't want to mess around in deep, dark folder structures. I'd like to have everything in one folder and set that up as a shortcut in Blender so that we can go there easy and so forth. But let's have a look what we have so far. So the animatic I've rendered. Is that it? Oh yes, that's it. Look at that. Very cool. Yeah, so this was a low-res animatic, I believe like 800 by something. And I've removed the HDRI from the background. So I thought that's nice if we just have this as just basically for the scene and use the HDRI for the light rather than use the background there. That's due to change. I couldn't quite make up my mind what color to use, so this is just a plain white or kind of a very light gray. And I've done a second pass with something like a purple, what's it called, gradient in the background. So we'll see. I'm happy with the animation on the whole. I'd like to replace this image with maybe my 3D Shenanigans logo. Perhaps even with a blinking live underneath it that just goes and blinks. Here it is again. So I think maybe this pan here could be a bit slower at the beginning, but that's easy to do. I think on the whole, I'm happy with the whole pan. And it's about a minute long in total, so that's nice. So all that's missing now, of course, is background action. And I've been doing some testing on this. So aside from static cars that I believe we can just move up and down the roads, I was looking into people and how we can animate them with Mixamo. And that is something I'd like to try today. So I've done some testing and I can show you some of the things that I've made with them. And they've come out well, and it's just a very convoluted workflow there. So maybe, hopefully I can remember how it works. So this is the first test I've done there. This was with somebody called, this is a character that came with the scene. So this is, I believe they just call them Polygon City characters, and they have there's several ones. There's a woman with a code, woman without a code, a policeman, policewoman, a doctor, male and female, and they all have just very low resolution textures, but they do look different. So one's got blonde hair with a red dress, and one's got a green dress with brunette hair, that sort of thing. And so they come as FBX files, and they are rigged, but they're not animated, so the animations are not included in that. And I'm thinking it'd be kind of nice if we'd have lots of these little guys walking up and down. So these are the characters that came with this scene. Another one is the other series that I also got with the bundle, which is called The Simple People, and this is what they look like. So they look like Minecraft type characters. This guy is the pimp, and he was rendered, I believe I rendered him in cycles. Thank you so much for hosting my stream, Julia. I really appreciate that. And it's just so nice to have him kind of just walk across the frame. It's just very nice to, have this guy as a screensaver. So So we'll see if we can make that happen. There's several parts of the puzzle, of course, to bring these things into Blender. So they're not really made for Blender. They're rigged for Unity and Unreal with those engines in mind. And it took me a bit of time to work out how to make that all happen. So we need to thank you, Steve, for hosting my stream. Very nice of you, very nice of you. So we need to bring this guy into Blender, do some magic that he doesn't look all scrunched up, very important. Then we need to export that FBX again so that we can import it properly in Mixamo, apply the animation, export another FBX, bring that into Blender. And once we have it, we literally only have one cycle. So his legs going like this and like that, and that's it. So we need to then go ahead and loop this animation using the NLA Editor in Blender. And that's all very, very new to me. So let's see if we can do this. And we can explore all the other characters that are available here from these guys. I've had some other fun with this. So I've made some smaller versions of these characters as just an animated GIF. That also looks cool. So this is the nurse. Can use the nurse. Nurse can walk around. Julia had this idea that maybe the policeman can chase somebody like the pimp. That's an idea. Hello, Dreamlab. How you doing? And this is the last one I want to show you today. This is the same character from the same pack. This is a defeated policewoman. So I'll show you the whole workflow. I might even extract bits of this stream and turn them into standalone tutorials, or I'll just record another video for that. I'll see. I've written 2 articles that I'll post in the description of this video, and I'll share with you in the chat. Let's see for now if I can remember how to do all this. Oh yes, organization first, before we even begin. So I've got a lot of stuff that just goes into this whole downloads folder. And perhaps I need to change that. I mean, downloads is good, but there's also stuff I'd like to kind of keep. And maybe we decided we don't need these HDRIs. I'm going to go delete them. And this is a nice song. I'll just go put them in stuff, maybe. This is also, I need to keep that, so it goes in there. You replace it, that's cool. You can replace it, that's fine. One last time, that's the music we've just heard. I'll just put that also in stuff. This is the sky that we actually need and use, so perhaps that could go into the folder in which we're actually working, which I believe is in here. And then it's in Blender files, and it's in Polygon City. So this is where I'm going to put all the stuff. And then I like to set up Polygon City as the one thing that keeps everything together here. Perhaps I'll start by making a new folder here and call that blend files, so that not everything is in the root directory here. So I'll go and put everything into there, into blend files. Pimp animation we're actually done with, so I can go delete that. And then animation V1, that was the animation I have rendered out. That's the animatic we've just seen. So technically I don't need that anymore either. Did you hear that? This was the Disney ship. We live close to this trench that goes from the port of Miami over into the open sea. And I believe once or twice a day there's this Disney ship that goes and ships people up from here up to Orlando, and I believe that they take a cruise somewhere else. So it's kind of nice to see that. Do you know, I think you're right, Steve. I think they are on the up and up, because everywhere I look, there's all these low poly assets. It's almost like a like a style that's coming out these days. So very interesting. Into this folder, I'd also like to put the actual source file so I can take them out of here. So the way these guys are working, the Synty guys are working, there's 2 types of files. So these 2 are from the Simple People series, and these 2 are from the Polygon City series. There's 2. One's called source files and one's called Windows. So Windows is not actually what we need. So this is just the Unity file and a README with some tips and tricks. But this is actually the Unreal and the Unity file, so we don't actually need that. I've figured that out, so we can delete that Windows version. And it's the same with the Simple People. I believe that is also, yeah, that's just a Unity project, so we don't need that either, because I wouldn't even know what to do with it. But then the next thing is source files. So this is Simple People source files. Simple People, I'll just call them source, so that I remember what's what. And in here we have characters, FBX, and textures. So that goes into my main folder here. Then I have Polygon City source files. That's from Polygon City. That's got a separate folder here. So I'm going to go put that in there. And then that can go away so far. And I'll just call that Polygon City. Maybe, and then we don't really need to call this source. We can just call that Polygon City and Simple People. How's that? There. Faye and Mo, hello, hello. Good to see both of you, I guess. Faye and Mo, new follower, thank you so much for dropping by. Always nice to have you. I need to show you this picture, by the way, before we progress. Faye and Mo, I take it you're two people, right? You have shown us this picture last time and it had me in stitches. That was so funny. So this is the first piece of fan art that I've received here. And I think that's just so amazing. So thank you so much for putting that together, because the more I look at it, the more it becomes clear how much work and effort you've actually put in here. So we've got like 3 characters, me aside. We've got that little lamp character here, Lighting Bob, I believe it's called. Then we've got some 3D assets here with my logo on it. My logo is also on the shirt. So those things are not easy to make, you know. And we've got the mouse. Mouse is holding a stick properly. Sign says something. Famous YouTube star looking for work. Had to resign from my last job because the last employer forgot to take my eye mask off, which is that little red thing. Payment for work, cheese or cake. VIP access to... Can't read that, but it's super nice of you to do that. So it's you know, it's awesome. I really think it's fantastic. So thank you so much for doing that. You've made my day there. And the sneakers, absolutely, yes. And there's the microphone, and it's, you know, this is obviously me streaming. It's just very nice. And what the deeper meaning for me is here really that Julia and I used to own a house in Birmingham in the UK, and our terrace, so this used to be our living room, our terrace almost looked frighteningly like that. It was one of those, what you call them when there's several houses in a row. They're not detached, they're not semi-detached. Terraced houses, that's it, exactly. They're terraced houses. And we're in this cul-de-sac right at the end. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. So with that organization out of the way, let's go ahead and open up Blender 2.82. I have a feeling there's more organizational bits that we may have to look into. So before I even load the scene, let's see how I can bring in one of these characters and see if I can remember how to do this, and bring in a character, tweak it, put him into, export him, put him into Mixamo, grab an animation, bring him back. And we'll do that several times until it works. And then we can put these things into my scene. There we go. So instead of just deleting the default cube, I'm going to delete everything. And I'm doing that because it'll be easier for me to export the FBX without selecting the things that I need to select. FBX is very pernickety, and if you don't make special arrangements, it will try and export everything, so including lights and camera. And then of course Mixamo gets totally confused. Thank you so much, Christina. Yes, I love that as well. And thank you to your instructions, I could make that happen. That is just awesome, and it just makes it so much more personal, and especially because like you, I didn't quite care for the image in 2.82, so it's very nice. It's very nice. If you are thinking of, hey, I need my personal splash screen in Blender as well, I'm going to put a link to Christina's YouTube channel into the chat now. And if you go there, one of her latest videos, not the latest, but one of the last few, is in fact how you can make that happen in Blender with something called application templates. Very, very cool stuff. So let's see if I can remember how to do this. I'll go up to import FBX. And this is basically where it just gets difficult here. In here, oh yes, I'm going to go and maybe get rid of that. Mux special, cracked landscape. These things aren't even here anymore. Desktop I have access to here. I'm just gonna clear out some of my favorite folders here. And now I'm going to go and create cloud files, Blender files. Polygon City. I'd like to add that to my thing here. That's perfect. And I'm going to put that right at the top so I remember where to go easy. There's simple people and Polygon City. So I think I'm going to start with the Polygon City people and just see which ones are there. So under characters, we'll get all these here. Businessman shirt, businessman suit, businesswoman, character female with the coat and with the jacket, female police officer, male hoodie guy, male jacket guy, male police officer. So I'll start with this guy. And this is already mega important. If I select an FBX, the options used to be down here, I believe, in Blender. Now they're over here. This is where it gets really, really complex. So right now I'm going to untick animation. I also need to, these options here, they're kind of the defaults. I'm going to keep those. I'm going to keep the rotation. I'm going to set this to manual rotation. And this is, let me see if I can put that over here, see if we can see that a little bit better. We need the manual. Now, see that I'm in the picture there, so that's much better, isn't it? So we need manual rotation forward, minus Z forward, and up, Y up. Very important. We don't need animation. And the other thing that's important here, I believe, under armature, is that we need automatic bone rotation. And that should now bring my character in like that. That's not much of a character, is it? I mean, even if it was, this is a total mess. And I was really struggling with that, and thank you so much for thank you so much for trying to look into the better FBX importer, which turns out I didn't need, because this is just something, you know, it just happens. So what we need to do here is to go up to pose mode, from object mode to pose mode with the character selected, and then we can go up over here to pose, clear, transform all. And when I do that, that's kind of the magic that's turning this character into something we can actually use. If I had my applause board here, I would give myself a round of applause. This is not actually my information. This is somebody called Titan Games, and he put a little tutorial together on how to bring Synty characters into Blender. And this is just the marvelous tip. So thank you so much, Titan Games. If you find him on YouTube, I will put a link to his video in the description of the stream here. If you find his channel, drop it in the chat. He deserves the love, man. He's got 14 followers right now on YouTube, and I think we should show him the love. This was awesome. This is really technically all we needed to do here. The eyeballs Streamlab, that is actually, yeah, that's the skeleton, and that's just something Blender overlay. So if we switch that off, then we see the whole character, and it won't render that. This is just something that, you know, at least they're kind of in the right position here, because by default importing FBXs often has the bone rotation completely mangled, and so like the shoulder bones, they kind of pop out of the character, and things are on the left hand side, we put them to the left, on the right we put them to the right. So that's, you know, I'll go back into object mode, and I'll put this into material preview mode, which will tell us that currently we can't see any textures. And it's not that the FBX file hasn't referenced them, but they seem to have moved since the file was saved. So we just need to apply them. And if I do that now, then they'll come out like that with Mixamo as well. So that'll be easy. Let me go over to the shading tab, where I see the same issue. And in the shading tab in object mode, I need to click on my character now, because the thing is, we've got quite the hierarchy up here in what I now know is called the outliner. There's the root node here, which we can rename in a moment into the character. That is actually the armature that is selected, underneath which here we have the actual geometry. And that's the one we need to select for the shader to appear. And we've got this basic shader here that only has one, I believe, what is it, a reference to the normal map that isn't even in here. It's just the strength of the normal map. And we have a single texture here that's applied. And this file isn't referenced correctly, pretty much exactly like we had it before in the whole city scene. So let's go and have a look for it. The good thing is that Blender, or the FBX file, remembers the file name. It just says, hey, the location that's referenced isn't there, so it just goes into the root directory of where this thing is. And I believe we can go into Polygon City, into textures, and look for Polygon City texture 01C. That's this one. The other ones will work, they just make the character look different, so we can apply those later. But I'll just go with the default one for now. And that turns our guy into businessman. Aha, that's nice. Beard, tie, the whole shebang. I like it. So that's the pre-setup done. And I suppose now comes another organizational kind of question. I think I need to put these guys into exported from Blender into my own folder so that I know which ones I've fixed. Is that it? Let me have a look. That's the one. That's the one. That is Titan Gaming. Look at that. You got 17 subscribers already. And that's exactly the tutorial I followed. That also goes into some detail about how to import these guys into Unity, for which they're designed for, and then export them from Unity so that we can use them in Blender. So there's two versions of doing that. I don't think it mentions how to do the whole Mixamo thing, but hey, that's why I'm here, and that's what we're going to do now. Let's go and export this guy. Actually, I'm going to go and rename this thing from root into businessman. I'll make sure there's no spaces in here. Yes, very nice, Christina. Thank you so much. So I'll just call him businessman 1, because we'll have so many. And I'll go and export this guy. This is now the second big puzzle in the whole equilibrium of puzzles. I'll make myself a new folder here, and I will call that, what do you think, FBX export, Blender exports. That's an idea, isn't it? Blender exports, and then we can have Mixamo exports. And I think that's probably exports. Is that something that makes sense? I think it will do. I'm going to name my character something down here. Businessman 1, perhaps. And so now comes the other thing. I hope I remember everything correctly here. So I suppose I could use this selected objects. I don't have to, because I only have the single object in my scene, and I think I'm going to leave it. I believe selected objects might come in handy if you have the camera and the lights in here. Make sure you have that selected. I don't need it, so I'm going to go and disregard this section. I'm going to leave this at its default. I'm going to not bake the animation, because we don't have an animation at the moment. We're just exporting the rigged character. And under armature, and I believe that's important, I think we need to disable add leaf bones. I think that's important. And the other thing, even more important, is maybe I can do this. Is that something that will work? Yes, yes, almost. Like I can do this. Oh, done that very clever. Very good. The other very important thing is this one here, the armature FBX node. So I need to select the root node. Otherwise, if I select null, then nothing will appear as a skeleton in FBX. So then when we import it in Mixamo, Mixamo says, sorry, I'm not going to tell you what's wrong, but something is wrong. And it's just how Mixamo is. So I'm going to select the root node, and that I believe is all we need to do. Export FBX, and that's that, I think. We'll find out when we go into Mixamo now and see what Mixamo thinks of that. Here it is. So mixamo.com is what gets us to the front page. You need to log in with your Adobe ID, and this is kind of the trickiest part of the whole operation. Does Mixamo accept the import that we've just made? These are animations we can apply to a character that's loaded here, and Mixamo also has their own character. So if we can't make this character import and then export again, we can pick the regular Mixamo characters, which are fantastic. So just to show you the principle, if you're not quite familiar with Mixamo, pick any of these characters here, like old guy with a cigar, very cool, fully textured and all that. Then you select animations and pick up anything you like. So maybe I don't know, samba dancing is always a popular favorite, and he dances. It's completely free to use, which is quite unbelievable. All you need is a free Adobe ID, and then that's that. If you have characters that have issues with their arms, so if the hands kind of move, like with him, the hands move into his slightly rotund body, you can increase the arm character space here. You can trim the animation if you like, and so forth. So there's all kinds of things that you can do here. And the funny thing is, you can just pick a different animation if you say, hey, that's not the thing I'm looking for. You just pick anything else. There's 48 animations per page, and you just pick anything and everything. So like, dribble a basketball, very cool. You can right click to zoom in and out, left click to rotate the camera, and it's free to use. That's the other thing that's just kind of mind blowing here. So you'll have lots of fun with this. If once you look into this, it's just something you get absolutely addicted to. And it's so much fun to just have a look what animations are out there and what characters are out there. So if all goes wrong, I can use these characters, but I'm going to use my own character, which is slightly more advanced level of difficulty. So yes, absolutely, Dreamlab, 52 pages of animations. You can also whittle them down. So if you're not looking for samba dancing, if you're looking for something like walk, you can just go and filter anything that they have on walks, and that is a lot as well. So you can have like a female type walk, or a regular male type walk, but then you also have the in-between. So you can have the start to walk, stop walking, walk backwards, all types of walks here. So, walking, carrying something heavy, and, walking, with the different strides. If you had lots of different characters, then you can just have a look at different things here. Oops. Fully fledged OpenGL 3D interview interface in your web browser. Also casually, you think, oh my goodness. One word of warning though, that this page is very load intense. So if your computer has issues displaying 48 animated GIF files on the left and a fully fledged OpenGL viewport on the right, fear not. There's this thing at the top here, which you can switch off the animated thumbnails with, and then that just slows down the rate of power that your browser burns through there. So if you have something like my MacBook isn't very good on this, so you have every 2 seconds you get an update, and that's just everything's struggling. So you can switch that off here. I'm gonna leave that on for now because that's just cool. And I'm gonna go and import my own character now. That's happening up here. upload character. There we go. That's it. That's me uploading my own character there. And again, I mean, we can spend a whole hour talking about Mixamo because they take FBX files, OBJ files, and regular zip files. So that's an OBJ and texture file zipped together. If they're on the root level, it'll work. You can upload them and it'll try its best to extract the existing rigging and recognize the existing rigging. And because it's FBX, it's really, really difficult for it to do that. I should put another shortcut into my quick access here, shouldn't I? Let's see if I can make that happen. Under Blender files, Polygon City, I'm gonna see if I can add this to, how do I even do that? How do I even do that? Windows, Blender files, Polygon City. Can I say add that to pin to quick access? Ha 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 ha. Indeed. Where is it now? Polygon City. There we go. Perfect. So Blender exports. That's my businessman that I've just made in Blender. So I'm going to go and open that. And there is a chance that this is going to go wrong. I've seen this go wrong more times than I've seen it go right, especially in the experimental process. But we have liftoff, my friends. That's our businessman. He doesn't show the textures, but the textures are referenced in the file. So by the time he comes out, Blender knows where they are. So this is the kind of default thing that if your rigging works, the guy comes out again. It's awesome. And if it doesn't work, it just brings up a generic error message and doesn't tell you what's wrong, which is not so good. If you upload an OBJ, like an unrigged humanoid character, this is crazy, man. It allows you to set points on the shoulders, I think on the neck or on the head, on the knees and on the hips, and it will rig the character for you. That's phenomenal as well, and it'll look much exactly the same way. So it doesn't get fancy with accurate weight maps and all that, but it does a phenomenal job at rigging a character by just letting you drag points in the web interface. It's absolutely phenomenal. But I was lucky; my rigging was recognized. So the whatever we did there through hoops we jumped through, it was recognized. And yes, so my character now walks, and this is my character, which is kind of awesome. So I can just pick any kind of walk cycle that I like: fast walk, strutting walk, slow walk, casual walk. And I think we'll download a few of them so that we have different variations of walking characters eventually. I think for today I'll just pick one and we'll be done with it. I won't go into mixing and matching animations. Perhaps we'll leave that for later. Let's just get this whole thing up and running. There's one other thing I can do here, and that's interesting. How do I oh, there we go. Pan. This guy walks forward like you'd expect. He walks forward at the correct speed, but that is causing trouble when we loop this thing in Blender. So there's some information I don't quite know. I know how to work around it, and I will export him like this. But if you want to remove the forward motion from the character, then you can click this in place box here, and then he walks in the same place. I could do this. It will save me taking this out artificially in Blender later and then just adding this with a regular linear keyframe animation. So I'll have this guy loop and then just adding just the forward motion on the whole character. It is so super easy to get lost. Steve, I've written 2 articles, published them today. I'll put a link in the description in a moment because that kind of describes the detailed steps and the detailed settings so that you can follow those. I won't tick this, so I'm gonna leave him as he comes out of Mixamo, and then I'll hit download character. And what Mixamo then offers is how do you want to do this? FBX for Unity or Collada? Shudders. I'll leave it on FBX with skin, so I won't change this to without skin. I won't reduce the keyframes, but I will in fact use 60 frames a second. because my animation is in 60 frames a second, so I'll do that as well. And I'll download this, and Mixamo gives me a regular FBX called Walking FBX. I'll save that to my regular downloads folder, and that is also something that just needs a little bit of organization, because it would just dump them all into downloads here. I think I'm going to go and create another folder and call that Mixamo Exports. Does that make sense? Yeah, Mixamo Exports. And I'll copy that in here. And in fact, since this is the first walk cycle we're using, I'll just call that Walking 1. And I'll also call it Businessman 1, so that I know which characters in there. I believe they are kind of interchangeable once they're NLA tracks. I just want to make sure I don't forget what's what, because that's bound to happen. So we're kind of done with this scene, so that we can see this guy walking inside Blender. We're kind of done with this scene, so I can just literally go and create a new 3D Shenanigans scene. Hey, good stuff. I could have just deleted the guy. I'm just doing it this way. It doesn't really matter. We can now leave the camera and the lights in place and go delete the default cube and import what we've just taken out of Mixamo into here, similar to what we did before. So glad I've got my shortcuts set up. Very nice. So Mixamo exports, Walking Businessman. So in here again, I don't know if it's necessary. I just like to do it this way, to go manual orientation, -Z forward and Y up. Otherwise the characters looks bizarre. Armature, automatic bone orientation, and animation needs to be enabled this time because we have an animation. I believe that is it. Let's check it out. Yes, it is. Look at that. Dude. And if I go into my material preview, textures are intact. And even better, when I go and press play, the guy walks. Unbelievable. The animation is 62 frames long, so my current whole animation is 250. I'll set that to 62 as well, so we can go and see the guy walk. Ha 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 ha! That is seriously cool. Is this cool or what? This is seriously, this is unbelievable. It was worth the effort hanging in there and following all these steps, because it is, now we have walking dude in Blender via some magic black box that kind of just goes and it's unbelievable. So before we continue, I'm going to give you those 2 links that I promised, and that's the article that I've written this morning. The 2 articles actually. If I can find them again, while this guy just keeps walking. Here's how to import Synty characters into Blender via Mixamo. That's number 1. Thank you, Steve. I was very impressed myself. Oh yeah, also we can go and currently he has these things sticking out of his head, so we can just go and switch that off, and then he's, you know, he doesn't have that, which is much nicer. So that's the first link. I'll give you a second link maybe later, maybe in a moment, because we're gonna go and make sure this thing loops now. So this is just 62 keyframes, but if I want him to walk down a whole street, then this needs to work a little bit differently. And I'll just explain the process while it's fresh in my head. That's also important. And then we can continue using the same import principle into the whole scene and see if we can make him walk down the whole street, and then maybe make like 100 copies of him. Perhaps not 100, but hey, let's see. So I've shortened my animation duration just so that we can see him loop from here, and then the animation jumps back to the beginning. But I'm going to go and make that, I'll switch that back to 250 again, just so that I have a longer timeline here. And this is something I'm not really that familiar with. I've only discovered that over the last couple of days while I was looking into how to set up nonlinear animations in Blender. And here's what I've found out. And this is exciting. I find this super exciting, and it just makes this whole thing so much more powerful. So in order to turn this keyframed animation into a nonlinear block, Blender knows this as a nonlinear animation editor. They've kind of set this up under the animation tab at the top. If you switch to that, you get these two viewports, and one of them shows you your regular camera, and one of them shows you just the regular viewport here. So I guess this is so that you see that you don't see the skeleton here. I haven't set up my camera, so I won't be doing much with this. But this timeline on the bottom here, that's called the dope sheet. But it's not what you see here. So it says dope sheet here, but it's the dope sheet is the whole thing. And this thing is just the dope sheet mode of dope sheet. I know that sounds crazy, but in other words, there's this little icon here that changes the editor type. So I could change this to my regular timeline if I wanted to. The animation thing has it set up as a dope sheet, and that's technically what we need right now. But the dope sheet window itself can go into several modes. One of them is dope sheet mode. This is the one that we see right now. And in fact, that's the one that we need to work with, because we need to get rid of the forward motion of this guy here. And I can show you how that works. It's fairly easy. Oh no, Christina, that's terrible. That is unbelievable. What's the arbitrary 10 o'clock deadline there? I don't get it. And it's the evil nurse Ralph, because that wouldn't be good. I'm actually joining you with chamomile tea from Tezo, because I've already had a coffee. I've discovered this new way of brewing coffee, by the way. That's very exciting. So I bought this on the bargain bin. I bought this box of coffee, kind of coffee packed in coffee sachets, and you dunk them into cold water, leave it in the fridge for 24 hours. And in the morning, you have concentrated cold brew coffee. And Starbucks has been selling that for a while now, but that is just so amazing. Cold brew coffee that just brews itself in the fridge. And it is so super nice. It's got kind of a naturally sweet edge. It doesn't have the hard edge of the hot brewed coffee. Oh, that is something you should all try that out. Usually you take half the amount of water or twice the amount of coffee for the regular amount of water, leave it in the fridge 12 to 24 hours, thin it down with either coffee, ice, or milk. Delicious, I'm telling you. Unbelievable. Oh my god, Ralph is off. He's playing with Blender right now, isn't he? Yeah, percolator. That's usually what I do. It's 10 o'clock is arbitrary. What happened? My nutritionist told me that the human body never stops working. It doesn't matter if you eat a pizza before you go to bed. It doesn't make you any fatter than you already are. It doesn't work that way. Your body, you might feel uncomfortable because you've got something in your body, but the body doesn't care what time of day it is. It works at a kind of a continual, gradual pace there. Crazy. I hope you can convince her to. Or just ignore it. That's the other option. No, absolutely. I've never drunk any coffee after 10 p.m. She doesn't need to know. T-Bank! Good afternoon. Good evening, I should say. Welcome to the stream. That is actually a good point, yes. That my urologist told me that if I want to stop wetting my bed because I had urinary terrible issues and all that, he said stop drinking after 6 or 8 o'clock, and then you'll sleep through all night long without having to get up. So that is a valid excuse. I do understand that. But if bedwetting isn't the issue, then I say give us coffee 24/7, y'all. But I digress. back to more important issues like the guy walking. So I've shortened my animation again. Perhaps shouldn't have done that. Let me just go back to 62 so we can see that thing looping again. So right now we have this forward motion, and judging by the viewport, he's moving forward on the y-axis, and I can see the y-axis or the y location down here. If I open this context menu down here, this will play all the keyframes that are on here, but I can disable that if I don't want to see that, just to see if I've got the right keyframes that I don't want in the mix. So if I untick that, then the Y keyframes aren't being played back. This is nice for fault finding. You can literally switch off certain things and see what causes what issue until you've narrowed it down. So in my case, I don't want him to walk forward on the Y-axis. I want him to stay in place. And like I said earlier, I could have done that in Mixamo by switching that box off. Some animation blocks have that you just leave that out. But we'll just do it manually here, just so that you know how and where and if and what to change. I've narrowed it down to the Y location, so this is what I need to delete. So what I'll do here now is I'll go into, it doesn't matter if I enable or disable that, I'm going to deselect everything. Yellow means everything is selected here. If I'm going to hit A, then everything's deselected. And now I'll go and border select with B around all the keyframes that are in the Y location until I've got them. Top ones will light up, but that's fine. Now I go hit X and I'm going to delete them keyframes. So now essentially the Y location is no longer here. And if I now press play, I think he behaves just the same. Just walks in place. He also, I've noticed this on another walk animation, he also has an X movement going on. So he's moving left and right a little bit. I don't think that's not working for me really either. So I can also go and try and get that to stop. Just not sure how, because I don't see an X location. Is that X rotation? No, that's not it. Not entirely sure where that comes from now, because I don't see. Oh, it could be on a different bone. That could be. Hey, excuse me. Could be. I might look into that later so that we can move on here. It's yeah, sometimes that's just the same for the X location, and you can just remove the X location just the same way. I might just leave it right now so we get to the NLA part here, because that's, you know, even more fascinating than what we've already discussed. So if we're happy with his walk and he's walking in place, it's all good, we need to turn this into a non-linear animation block now, and that happens in the dope sheet, but not in dope sheet mode. It happens in the action editor. So the dope sheet can display its values in many different ways, and what we need now is the action editor. And when you do that, it's a couple of options come up here, which is push down and stash. And you also have a little drop down menu of potentially other blocks. So if you had stashed or pushed down other animation blocks, which currently we haven't done that yet, but if you had, then they would all appear here. So we're talking walk 1, walk 2, walk stand up, walk slow, walk drunk, etc. So several things that we are going to create here with several snippets of animation borrowed from Mixamo would then, as soon as they've been turned into an animation or an action strip, they will appear here. Currently, fbusinessman1 pipe mixamo.com pipe layer 0 isn't as descriptive as perhaps walk. So I'll do that and change it to walk. So that's just the name of the action strip I'm going to create. And now I can either stash it or push it down. I think so. There's a subtle difference. Push down will turn this into a block and create an NLA track at the same time, if I understand this correctly. And stash will just turn this into a block and kind of stash it on on some kind of a track that's not really used, but that's where all your blocks live. So I suppose if you are importing 5 or 6 types of animations, you'd all stash them, and then when you're ready to compile them, then you would use them from there. I'll go push it down because this is the only block I'll use for my project here. Yes, I do. It's indeed. I have 3 computers, Famo, and that's they are all HP workstations, and they have this one has the strongest graphics card, but the other 2 have like older graphics cards, and I sometimes overnight let all 3 computers render certain frames of the animation, so that by the morning I can compile them all, and then I can look at the result. And that's how I also sometimes use high-res renders. They just render for a week on a node, and then I can compile them while still being able to use my regular computer. It is very fun, and they were not expensive either. That's the other very cool thing. There's an article on my website that explains the ins and outs. Let me go and find it here. It describes what types of computers I have and how I use them in my workflow. It's a fun read, and there's some. I keep updating this list whenever I make changes there. So have a read. That describes how I use them on the network and all that. So with this guy now walking, I'm going to go and push this whole animation thing down. We go boom, and then notice that all the keyframes have seemingly disappeared. Dun, 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 dun. But that's okay, because we need to now go to a different tool in Blender that is no longer the dope sheet. So this is really confusing, because the dope sheet is now called Action Editor, but it's still the dope sheet because we've got these 2 menus here. So one is the actual thing that changes this whole window, and one is the mode of that window. So I can put this back to dope sheet, doesn't matter. We're changing this whole window out now, and that's done with this little guy here that changes this whole window at the bottom here. So let's change that into the non-linear animation window. And when we do that, it looks like this. And that now shows us that we have one NLA track down here. So this is just like the Animate timeline, if you think about it. This is just a timeline onto which you put clips. You can have several tracks onto which you can layer action strips as well. So one thing would be you have the character walking, but on another track you'd have an eye blink, for example, or you'd have an arm gesture like waving or whatnot, and then you can overlay those on top of each other, and that's what this is used for. We're only going to use one because that'll just get way too complicated otherwise. And with this action block on here now, I can see that the character just keeps walking, just like when he had keyframes. But he doesn't have keyframes anymore. He's now an NLA track, which looks at the keyframes and then just displays them in a different way. One of those things. So that's the nonlinear editor window here. It doesn't stop there. Do you know when I'm in my viewport here, if I hover here and if I press the N button, then I get this little context menu popping up here in which I can set camera properties and all that? Well, the same window can also be brought up when I'm hovering in my NLA window down here. I don't actually know why I remember all this stuff. I've only literally learned that within the last 24 hours. Can you believe it? So it's good to get it all out of my head. So thank you so much for listening. If I hover over the bottom window here and press N, then the same type of window comes up here with a scary amount of additional options. If I make that bigger, you can see the amount of options here. Luckily, we're not interested in too many of them, so that's good. We can I can collapse some of these, like Blender often is. There's so many options that you can easily get scared away, but we don't need that many. So this here at the top, this is what your track is called. So NLA track's just the regular the default file name. So I could rename it here. I'll leave it. I'll just collapse it. It's a little bit of stuff out of the way. There's the active strip. That's this window here. I don't think I'm going to do much with that either. I could, I guess, rename my strip name here. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to go and collapse it because the thing that we're working with is the action clip. So notice there's a difference, and also evaluation. I don't think I need that either. So I'm going to collapse that as well, just so that we get all more calm, you know. So see, Steve, that I don't think so. This is why I'm writing articles and all that. It's important to write that down somewhere, because tomorrow, next week, I might be able to remember this. 6 months from now, different issue altogether. That's my short-term memory will have been overwritten by all kinds of other things by that time. So notice that there's action strip and action clip here. Those are, I guess, Blender differentiates between them. A strip, I guess, is the thing that contains the keyframes, but a clip, from what I understand, is the way how it plays them back. So this is the important option here down at the bottom, in which it says repeat however many times. So right now it's only repeated once, and then the walk cycle stops. But if I had my animation set to, say, 300 frames, what happens is that he literally stops and the animation continues. There's just nothing happening in the animation. So if I let the clip repeat, say, 4 times, then you can see that this strip is actually extended with these little separators here. And that's whenever this thing repeats internally. And that then means the animation is getting longer. That's exciting. So I could repeat that for however many times I need it. Like when our road is whatever, a mile long, and I need this guy to walk for 2 minutes, I could just work out how many times I need to repeat this for the whole animation to continue. So maybe I'll make it 5 times. And that just brings me to about 300 and a bit, 307 type thing. I might just make my animation just 300 frames. That's cool. And at that point, we'll just hope he's out of vision and we don't see him anymore. So then the only last thing that we need to apply here, so that he walks along the green line here and just keeps walking forward, is a manual Y translation. And we can do that with the regular keyframes. So I haven't worked out yet how Blender would deal with this ideally, because Animatic deals with this, that by the end of a block, you can tell it which part of the character to move forward and by how much. I'm sure there's an equally clever bit in Blender with which I can just drive the character forward. Perhaps it is in fact a driver, how they've done that. I just don't know how to do that. So I'm going to use the easier option by heading back over to my layout view, and maybe have the guy stop a little bit here, put the overlays on again, and just use regular keyframes for that. Because they can be mixed and matched, so that's kind of that's the beauty of the whole setup. On my first frame, or on frame 0 rather, with the businessman selected, I'll go and create myself a keyframe right here, with just by clicking I, pressing I, while I'm hovering over the location values. And then I move my playhead over to the last frame of the animation, so like say frame 300. And I'll just go and eyeball this to where the character should be at that point. I'll literally just make it up. So I'll press G, Y to translate the character to say about here. I don't know if that's the correct position. We can tweak that if it's not the right one. I'll left click, and then I'll go and press I again while hovering over the location thing here. And that now moves the character forward in a linear fashion while playing back the NLA animation. Like that. So this isn't perfect. And one obvious thing we can tell is that the character starts walking slower and stops walking slower than he is in the middle. And that's because of the way Blender applies the keyframes there, what tweener it's using essentially. And by default, it's a Bezier curve, and that doesn't look good with a linear walk cycle. So we're going to change that to a linear walk cycle, and then we'll see how that looks. In this case, it doesn't matter because we only have 2 keyframes. It doesn't matter which one of them we change, but essentially you right-click on the keyframe and pick the interpolation mode and move it from Bezier, which is what it's using now, to linear. And then when we play this back, the guy doesn't start and stop. He just goes and walks in a linear fashion. It's almost correct. I think he could probably walk a little bit faster, but I think you get the point. For the demo, you get the point. He's also not really walking on any ground, and he's got things sticking out of his head. But yeah, I think this is going to be enough to make the guy walk, since they're all just little backgroundy type action things in the scene. And I'll see if I can apply this guy walking down a road in our scene and see if that's possible. Oh, I haven't seen Picard yet. Any good, Steve? Let me know if it's any good. It's on my list of things that I should check out at one point. I'm not sure if now or if later. We're currently involved in the Outer Limits, believe it or not. That's kind of nice. Okay, so the whole way, good old Jean-Luc Picard, indeed, yes. And Data's in it as well, isn't he? Very cool. Ah, very good. The T-Bank, very good. I'm going to put a link into the description for the article that explains how to do this whole NLA shenanigans there if you need a refresher. If I need a refresher, more to the point. Whoops. What did I do? There we go. Here's how to loop the animation with Blender's NLA Editor. Boom. All right. Right then, that's the dry theory out of the way. Let's see if how we can add this guy walking down in our first opening shot of the scene. Let's see if we can make it happen. I don't need to save this. There used to be, if ever you come across documentation that tells you things about the importance of the fake user and how Blender deals with it, I think they've patched that. So just one thing, I haven't mentioned that in the article, but if I were to get rid of my character now, then technically this animation block here is no longer used. So what Blender could do is, if there's some non-allocated thing that's lurking around, Blender by default never used to save that. Like a material that's not applied to an object, that's defined somewhere, but you deleted the object and you wanted to keep the material, and the material isn't applied to an object. You had to click that little F icon to create a fake user, so that the fake user would hold on to the location of the data in memory so that Blender wouldn't get rid of it. I believe with these blocks it was the same issue, but I believe Blender have fixed it. So there we go. Just in case you've heard of that or you've read about it, I'm going to go and open my scene again here under blend files, and that would be Polygon City 3. Oh yeah, do you remember at the end of the last stream I had a bit of trouble with this panel on the right here that was not showing the render settings anymore? Luckily I've followed Brian's suggestion of just watch the stream back and see where you went wrong, and it turns out it was this pin icon here. So if I click on that, I don't even know what it does, but it gets rid of some of these options. that's why I believe I was in an object, so on the camera, I think I was on here, and then I pinned it, and then the render settings went away. And I guess it wants to make it easier for us, but I pressed it by accident. I didn't know what that did, so there we go. Boom. Because I've moved my file, and also because I've not packed the whole scene, everything looks pink now. So I just need to quickly tell Blender where to find that file. That's in the city. I believe I'll just pick any of these things. I'll go into shading, and here's the material preview. This is the sky thing, so under object, I believe Polygon City texture.png. Polygon City textures, Polygon City texture, boom. Back. I did just see that they've also got the skyline, normal map, and a metallic map. So I don't know where they are applied. I'm sure we can apply them, but I haven't found out which objects use that. So that's something we can do at another time. I'll go and save that over the previous thing so that that material is locked in. Do you know, the thing is, Christina, sometimes you have to be that brutal with nurses. We've had our share with crazy nurses. I remember one in particular. This was crazy. I've got to tell you the story. After I think that was my final surgery, like in 2017, December, just around Christmas. They had the surgery I had before that. That went really well. They had put me on this thing called the ERAS diet, I believe, and that means you don't have to be completely dehydrated before you go into surgery, just at the risk of throwing up. They deliberately give you liquids, so it's much easier on the body, and then you're not completely, the body isn't weakened before you go into surgery, because that's what you don't need. So they did that really well, and I had wonderful nurses on that like really big surgery. And then I had to go in again a few weeks later, like 8 weeks later, to have my ileostomy closed up again. And on that occasion, they didn't give me that treatment. So on that occasion, they gave me you need to be dehydrated to the max treatment, and then we'll work on you, and then you're extremely weakened, and then you wake up and, well, hopefully you'll make it type thing. So I literally had just come out of surgery. They had given me no painkillers, and I woke up after the surgery, a few hours later after surgery, I woke up, no painkillers. Pain was creeping in, and the nurse says, "Right, young man, you need to get out of bed, and we need to weigh you, and then we can determine the amount of painkillers you can get." And I said, "Yeah, but nurse, I'm in pain already. I can't get out of bed because I've got like fresh surgery scars and everything. I'm a walking wreck, man. That's not going to happen. So give me some painkillers, then I can get up, and then you can weigh me." And she was adamant to say, no, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to get out of bed, and if you rupture any of your staples, it doesn't matter. You just have to do it, and then we can determine the amount of painkillers you need, which is crazy. And so we had to be really adamant with her that there's certain things that we just don't take from you, even though you're the nurse. We can always say, "Hey, look, it's not going to happen." Like the whole thing there were other things. I'm not going to go into detail. It's just, it's crazy. So yeah, be adamant, and if you can complain about her and request a different nurse to come, that's the way forward. Some people click, some people don't, and yeah, I think I'm totally with you there. There we go, my 2 cents. So I'm thinking maybe we can make the guy walk down this whole road here. We may not even see him walking down all this way, but this whole piece, we can kind of start him here maybe, and then he's just walking on the sidewalk here, I'm thinking. Because then we can go and we follow him, and by the time we reach this, we don't need to see him anymore. So he needs to walk from the beginning, from about here towards the little tube station entrance here, whatever it is, to the bus stop. I think that's what we're going to do. See if I can select something here just so that I can park my camera there. Yeah, it is horrible. It's just not nice. Yeah, they had this pilot program there that was really nice. This ERAS that was really nice. So you had to, this was a particular type of liquid that you had to drink, but it wasn't bad or anything. It was just perfect. Right, so from here to there, that's where the guy needs to walk. So I don't know how to deal with this in a fully working scene. I've not tried that out yet. Oh, there's also, I can see some of the posters, they don't show up, so we need to correct that as well. I'll just call this one here the, let's call that like the tech bits, maybe. And I'll make a new collection. And I'll call that one people. Oh, she's homophobic. Oh, that explains the behavior, like making up arbitrary rules just to, you know. Yeah, don't let her near you again. Oh, with those people. Excellent. Yeah, that's crazy. No, well done, Christina. I think that's a good idea. Just extract her from your life. Life is too short for people like that. For those people, you know. Let's go and put that also to the just the regular texture file. And then do these things show up? No, they don't. Billboard ads. Okay, cool. That is here. Polygon City textures. Billboard ads. There we go. Haha, hot pizza back in business. Yes, keep us posted. It's always easier when you think of that we're with you on this journey. You know, you're not on your own there. This is unacceptable behavior, and yeah, we're with you on this. So we begin here. Did we say so? Yeah. So this little guy here. Maybe I'll put a cube in place here just so that I know where to put the guy. It doesn't actually matter. As long as it's here somewhere in front of that guitar, he's going to be okay. So I'll go and select the people collection, and I'll see if I can import my FBX just the same way as before. So it'll be a Mixamo export, this guy with animation, manual orientation, -Z forward and Y up, armature, automatic bone rotation, and was that it? Come on, let's see what happens. Businessman is, oh, here you are. There you are indeed. And he's walking the right direction already. That's very good. Ah, I like it. He's walking this way, so we need to turn him over. We need to turn him the other way. We can do that, right? Can we? I don't know what happens to the animation if we do that. I guess we just RZ 180. That was 90 though, wasn't it? Let's be honest here. RZ 180. That's it. I like that he's not only into giving you good care, like Ralph. I mean, I like that he's not only giving in for good care, he's also into 3D stuff. So it's like double aligned. That's really cool. So let's see what happens if we go and just zoom in here a little bit. And what happened to the keyframes that I quite clearly saw there a minute ago? Ah, yes. I should have applied wherever I've put him. Yeah, so apply his location, I guess. Is he also, I mean, it needs to be maybe lifted up a bit. RZ180. I think that's how I do it, isn't it? Is he going to walk into... Hope he's not going to walk into any lamp posts here. Is that Control A? Yes, location, rotation, and all transformations. Boom. I think. No, that's not how it works. Excellent. Well, then I'm already stumped. I've only tested this with the guy in the center of the universe, but I don't really know what to do then in order to move him elsewhere. I don't know if I need to turn this animation into an LNA block first and then move him. That's possible. Might have to do that. If we go and hide the city here, or if I need to just lock him into a keyframe and then just move him to the end, that could also be possible. Oh yeah, your dad. That was crazy attitude what you've told me about him. Oh my god. So G Shift Z will just make the little guy move hopefully into the right place here. Somewhere here. Ah. Interesting. So I guess that's some kind of thing that's... Maybe I should have had cleared the pose. This is interesting now. Let me go and get rid of him and import him again. And we can also... The reason why I put the whole city into its own collection is because we can make it all disappear with one click. That's important too. Oh boy, then there's these things, which are also not quite... that's the skyline, isn't it? Skyline. And then that material, let me just go and point that... point that texture, skyline TGA. So that's... While I remember Polygon Skyline TGA. All right, it might look quite fun to have these things instead of my gradient in the background. Oh, that's edit mode, isn't it? And they have all taken that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Might have to apply a transparency map or something in here. I've seen their previews, and it does actually look quite nice with these cartoony type houses in the background. So we'll worry about that later. Let's go import the guy again. Walking businessman. I think the bits and bobs should all still be the same. Import. Oh no! I selected the wrong collection. Businessman. Ay caramba. If I select the top node, will it copy all the other nodes into the right collection? Yes, it does. Oh, Blender, thank you so much. Yes, it's done that. Whew. Difficult stuff. Okay, let's move you. Oh no, hang on. We didn't want to do that. I'm going to turn this into an NLA thing first, and then we're going to go and meddle with his location, I guess, right? I'll go switch off the city and just do exactly what I did before with this guy selected here. He walks, that's perfect. And then he stops. Yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want. So under animation, with this guy selected, we want to get rid of the Y location. So let's go into border selection here, Y location, and X, delete them keyframes. Now he is right there. That's perfect. Now from dope sheet into action editor, this whole thing, I'm going to go park this on the first keyframe, push it down because we want him to start walking from the beginning. Switch this over to non-linear animation, where we have all our camera bits and bobs here. I'll collapse that so I get less confused than I usually am. Collapse these things. Repeat the guy's walk cycle, I say maybe 20 times. Is that too much? That'll make him walk the first 1,000 frames. In the same spot. So now I guess I'll just go and position him on the first keyframe. Then I switch to the last keyframe where we want to see him, and then that should do the trick, right? A red flag. Do you know, yeah, same here, Steve. I love collections. And there's no limits, and it's just so much easier to work with. I really like collections, but it's like with everything, isn't it? It's the change, implementing the change, that is what causes people to just go into a fit. Me included. I was thinking, my goodness, that's just crazy stuff. So how am I going to do this then? G Shift Z, move the guy here. Select the character, go into transforms, and actually see if he walks from here. Is he walking? That's my camera. Where's my man? My man's over here. I didn't get a chance to set the keyframe. Duh. G Shift Z. Right, dude, you come over here. We're on the first frame. Have a look at the guy. I want you to walk here in a straight line, RZ 180. This is where you start. You also need to start a little bit, what did we say, higher, lower? Yeah, kind of walking correct here. That's all good. Right, you're here. Make sure you remember that. Perfect. Also the rotation. Remember your rotation. I wish now if there was a way for me to be able to move the timeline without him snapping back. I wonder if that works. Ah, that's exactly what we need. Ha 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 ha. Good stuff. So let's see. We overtake him, and we want him to go to kind of over here, don't we? So to about there. There, okay. At that point, so GY forward. I don't know if he's now walking too fast, but I suppose he'll be out of frame here. So I'll go I, and then we'll see how, what his walking tempo is. Yeah, he's walking a tiny bit too fast, isn't he? So, and then he slows down. That's actually quite funny. And he keeps walking. Yet he keeps walking. So yeah, let's go and see. I'll go to the last keyframe here. And I'll just, if I wanted him to walk that far, do I just need more walk cycles? I could just increase the repetition. So he's now, yeah, so I just need more walk cycles, I guess, if I wanted him to do that. I can either do that, or I can reduce, I can tweak his starting point. Maybe he just starts walking from here. And now I can make him walk a little bit further. I like that. So last keyframe here, you walk a bit more, like to here, I and I, and how does that look? He's taking really large steps, isn't he? So maybe he's walked a little bit too far there. You only get to about here. How's that? I and I, and then I need to change the interpolation on the keyframes there. He's still walking fast. I'll make him start a little bit earlier, like here. There. Oh my God, patience is just what animators need to have. Sometimes I've been rerunning a couple of the streams that are about to expire in on Twitch. They're only there for 2 months, and some of them that I can select which ones are about to expire, and sometimes I do a rerun, and then I watch what we did back then, and it's actually quite nice to watch how much work has gone into something like the title sequence, for example, you know, where now we just run it, it's 30 seconds, so hey, this is, you know, this is just my title sequence now. But the amount of work we put into replacing every single picture and tweaking all the camera movements, tweaking all the materials, that was so much work. But it was also worth it, because it's then something you think, hey, I'm actually quite proud of that still. I'm glad I could share that with you. And so we see this tiny guy walking by. Isn't that crazy? That's it. That was his shot. That was barely noticeable. But if we duplicate him a few times, there'll be more of these people walking the streets. That is quite exciting. Yeah, in fact, let's go to about here. I'll go and end the animation at 500, and then we can just go and loop watch this bit here. See if we can spot him. See if we can spot the guy who's, there we go, walking down the road. That's exciting. I love that. Do you know the bathroom? That's the reason why YouTube banned the video, right? On the first go. I think there was an issue with not suitable for all advertisers or something like that. And I remember your comment, Brian, when you said clearly they weren't happy with the material we applied in the bathroom. That just made me laugh. It's very funny. Wow. So hour and a half to make a guy walk less than 10 seconds in animation. Okay, that's not bad, huh? Cars will be easier. If we just make a car walk down the street, I think that's the other thing I'd like to do. We'll do this all in stages. So this is proof of concept that we can make a guy with nonlinear animation walk down the road. That's very cool. And it'll set the nice scene opening. I think we have a couple of other people lurking at street corners just with in-place animations. I'm looking forward to that. That should be doable. And I would like at least a couple of cars coming down the road while we're doing this pan here. And as soon as we turn the corner, the cars will be kind of history. But yeah, but if they could drive down here, that would be cool. I think we should do that. Oh my God, there was an Elvis in Mixamo. Let me show him to you while you say Elvis. This was on the Mixamo characters. And he wasn't called Elvis, of course, because that's probably a trademark or something. And there's only 3 pages, so I'm sure we're going to find him. He looked so super cute. Or was he not in the... Yeah, there he is. Big Vegas. All right, baby. That is very true, Rod. Yeah, actually, that is absolutely true. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, this is such a huge, the amount of code underneath this is crazy. There we go. What animation are we going to give him? He could samba dance. It's going to be funny. Elvis. That would be actually great. And that's an in-place animation. It might even be enough if we don't use NLAs at all, and we just have this guy underneath the guitar. I think that would really sell it for me as well. Let's do it. That's a great idea. I just have a look if there's anything in which his hands dig into the body just a little bit, so we can increase the character arm space a little bit. So like 75. So that means when he puts the arms down, he doesn't quite bring them as close to his body anymore. That might help. Or we'll just try and make sure he doesn't. We don't see that happening. It'll be like 5 seconds top. So we'll just make sure that that part of the animation isn't being shown. We're good. All right. Download Elvis in 60 frames a second, of course, because that we need to see. Downloading asset. Thank you, Mixamo. I'll go and save this first of all. I think we can still oversave. Let's go and make that City 4. I like the people folder. That's already come totally in handy. Let's bring in Elvis. Oh no, actually, let's go and do some. Let's do some housekeeping. So samba dancing, that goes into here, and I'll call that Elvis samba dancing. New character. Import FBX. So animation, that, and let's see if it works. Chris, hello. Good to see you, my friend. And I like that we're the cool cats. I really appreciate that. That's cool. I like being a cool cat. By the way, the animatic of the scene that I've rendered, I've done that on my dual K4000 node. And they have 3 gigabytes of RAM. And because it's such a low poly scene, it fit into the GPU RAM fine, and that means Blender worked rendering the scene with 2 GPUs. That's fine. So it's indicative of the fact that when I had used Blender for larger scenes where the whole scene doesn't fit into the GPU memory, then it has to do some outsourcing magic while still using the GPU for rendering, and that is when the second GPU gets confused. The thing that you told me about, Christina, that they are fixing in Blender 2.83. I'm looking forward to that. That's very cool. So Armature, I think Armature is not the right name for a man. We need to call him Elvis. There he is. What's with the face, man? That's just a preview thing. Maybe it'll be, ooh, what's with the pinkness, man? Oh, it's because it can't find the HDRI. Ha! Yes, let's do that as well. That's something we haven't actually addressed here. The sky. Have we actually put that into my new thing? We haven't, have we? That's still in the downloads folder. Or is it? Let's put it where it belongs. I think that's very important. Let's put that where it belongs. The sky is on fire, exactly. So we're going to make a new folder here, and I'll call that one HDRI. And then we put that in there, and then we put that in there. Now we're getting somewhere. Still have some facial issues going on there. Elvis, what's going down, my man? That is bizarre. Body, brows, eyes, mouth animation. Let's take a look at that. Elvis mouth matte. We can always just have him, just see him from behind. Maybe that'll do the trick. Mouth map. Mouth map, but where is it? Unpack item. Unpack, that's a good idea. Yes, let's do that. I wonder if there's something wrong with the map. That could be. We'll look at that in Photoshop. I'll just see if I can put him into the right position and have him dance, and then if it's just a matter of changing the mat, I think we'll be all right. So you are here. Yes, we can see that you are here, Elvis, and we need you here by the whole guitar thing, and we need you to be there at, I suppose, around here. Yeah, that's a good idea. So frame 230, we need you to be there, right? G, Shift Z to move Elvis here, dancing underneath the guitar. We can either have him dance here or directly at the corner, at the street corner. I'm thinking maybe even here. Directly underneath the guitar. How's that? And it's keyframe wise. Where are Elvis's keyframes? Are they in the armature? Are they in the pose? Are they in the animation? I don't see the keyframes. Why not? Where are the keyframes? Because you are dancing. And you're also staying in the correct position, so I do appreciate that. It's just where are your keyframes, dude? I should see something somewhere, right? Oh, look at that. So it looks like they are definitely in there then. That's just the rigging. Where's our businessman got keyframes applied? Is that on the actual armature? I'm so confused. And should we be in pose mode? Yeah, maybe that was the issue. That we needed to be in object mode for them to show up. No. I mean, it's not that I don't mind, but it's just I don't think they're in there, Brian, because I've just imported the FBX, and that should mean the regular keyframes at the moment. And I mean, I don't mind, but he starts dancing at the very first moment here, and then I guess eventually he'll stop. But maybe he's doing okay before the camera gets there. So my plan was to just take the keyframes and shift them somewhere, move them slightly later. But maybe we'll just have a look and see if he happens to be dancing correctly by the time we get there with the camera. Yep, he's still dancing. He's dancing until frame 1100 or so. So that's good. Let's finish at frame 700. And look at our handiwork. Bloke walking, Elvis dancing. I may remove that street light because it's now hiding Elvis. Like the traffic light here, this one. I might just do something about that. We'll see. I like it. And thank you so much for following Andy911. Thank you, thank you. I didn't hear the subscriber alarm, the follow alarm again. What a shame. Sometimes it goes off, sometimes it doesn't. Thank you for following all the same. I appreciate that. Well, this is our handiwork. Very nice. I think, do we have time? Chris, how are you doing? Do you want to, are you streaming today? I'm not sure if you've changed your mind. Do let me know. I'm happy to wrap it up. I'm thinking I'll just, because this works so well, this dancing Elvis there. We're looking at his face next time. I think I'll dig around for a couple of cars. I'll drive down the road. That should be really easy, and then then we've got the first 20% of the animation sorted. That'd be kind of cool. Ooh, you're not streaming? Sure, no problem, Chris. In that case, stream until midnight. Maybe not. Let's see if we can, first of all, very important with these things, I'll save it as it is, but if I were to give this to a render node, I would go and pack the external data, either automatically or I'll pack it all into the blend file once. I won't do that just yet, because it keeps the saved file slightly slimmer and it just references all the bits and bobs elsewhere. But if I were to pack it, then I have a slightly larger blend file, and then I can export one file, put it onto a render node, and it has everything it needs to do this thing. Very cool. A streamathon, woo, let's do it. So let's see if there is anything in Polygon City, because there's characters, FBX, there's OBJs as well. Whoa, okay. Those are all the OBJ data for the prefabs. I believe game developers call these little islands of stuff, like a square tile with a building, and the building has an antenna and there's a tree in the front. Those are called prefabs. So you put them all together into a tileable asset, and then in the game engine you say that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, and that's how you build out your scene. So the scene that I'm using here, that is the example scene of Polygon City. That's just an example that they've created that way. But if you wanted to, you could go ahead and literally make your own scene much larger, or make it like a slim tunnel through which you have to drive or whatnot. So that's what these game assets are used for. Very clever. So you could make just a long tunnel that's just a road, and you have varying skyscrapers on the outsides, and you just have whatever to avoid the potholes or whatnot. Should I now? So with maybe Windows just needs a bit of time to, I mean, there are a lot of them. I just wanted to have a look if there's anything like a car in here. Aha! Good, that's cardboard box. That's maybe they're not in OBJ. Whoops. Maybe they are in FBX. Vehicles, there we go. Aha. Ambo, medium, muscle, police, sedan, small taxi, and van. Haha. I've not looked at these yet, but I think a taxi and a van, that just sounds like what the doctor ordered. And since they're FBXs, that's even cooler. So do we need to make another collection? There's people and there's cars. Maybe that might be an idea. Let's do this. New collection. I'll call it cars. I don't much like the term vehicles. It had so many OBJs, and it's such a shame this bundle is no longer on sale. It was one of those best deals ever. You can't buy these separately, like this whole scene with the vehicles and all that. That is $20 at the Synty store. Very, very cool. But it was part of the bundle that Brian and Chris and I bought. It was so cool. I feel so sorry that you didn't get a chance to get it, Steve. There's so much more Western set. They have one that was not included in the set. Let me show you this, see if I can find it. So these assets are available from the Synty store, I believe. No, syntystudios.com, and 3D art for games. And you can buy them through the Unity Asset Store, Unreal Marketplace, or directly on here. And one that really caught my eye was so ours is this one here. That's the one I'm using for this. It comes with a little trailer here that you can watch, and it gives you an idea of what the cars look like. So these are the cars that we can use. There's all night scenes that you can build with this, and make it quite crowded here. So not only do you get these types of cars, you then also get these types of styles for all the cars. That's crazy, isn't it? That is just so cool. Maybe I'll drop a link of this. Still $20 is not bad. And also it comes with an Unreal scene. That's the other thing. So you get all the FBXs, the OBJs, the textures, but you also get a pre-built Unreal scene with this demo scene that I have. And I don't know what that looks like. I'm not that familiar with Unreal. I'll drop a link into the chat now. There we go, Synty Studios. And this is what I wanted to show you. These are what they call prefabs in game development. So all these little things that you can then use and layer up and stack on top of one another. So like billboards, and that's where the big popcorn box came from, which I don't see here, but yeah, it's in here somewhere. And these things, they're all free prefab, so you can make little tiles, and then you say, well, I need 5 of those in a row, and then it comes a pothole, and then, you know, that sort of thing. One day, my friends, we shall explore this as well. But there's one that is called The Farm, and there is a nice trailer on this. If you find it here, it's called The Farm, and that's a scene, this one here, the farm pack, I believe. That is just so cute, the scene that they've built for that. I believe that is the one. Hours of fun, hours of fun. Must not get distracted, must put car into here. Let's go and make that happen. So file, import, FBX. I wonder how the cars are, what the cars look like. Like, why is it in FBX? I don't know if it includes an animation. I'll just leave it ticked now. See if it works. Cars. Let me go and disable the city and just go to the car and examine it a little bit. So we need to give it a material. We can do that. Select the car. And this needs Polygon City texture cars 02. No problem. I wonder where that is. Texture cars 02. I don't see any cars here. He's referencing a PSD file, so I would imagine they've put that elsewhere. Distracted from your distractions, that's exactly how I feel. So if they're not in the texture folder, are they in here? No. Are they in there? No. Are they in here? Vehicles. Interesting, Mr. Bond. Maybe they're in this other file that I have sadly deleted. Could that be possible? Is that a possibility? I may have to re-download that, or I have to drop them a line. I'm sure it's somewhere. We'll leave them pink for now. We'll just imagine there's a different color on there. Let's do that. Could even be that one of these things fits. Let's just go and try a city texture on here, see if that works. Oh, look at that. It is actually, that's exactly how it works. So it's just the city texture. And then if I go to another one, say B, then I have a different van. Ah, they're clever. That didn't work. But you know, this one worked, so we have a blue van. Ha! Of course, the reason why they do that is so that then the game engine has to load one texture and it doesn't have to be anything else. So if I were clever, I can just, rather than keep loading these textures, and I can make Blender's life so much easier and just say, well, you already have that texture and I'll go and let you use the same texture. There's Elvis over here. Very nice. Okay, bring back the city. I'll just rename that guy into blue van. He's over there. So blue van can maybe drive down here. Is this a road even? It almost doesn't look like a road, but yeah, I think it is a road. And then also, imagine we're in America, he's going to drive on the right-hand side if he comes down from here. There. Blue van's location and rotation shall be locked in. And I guess he'll just go, he'll be out of vision at this point already, so by frame 300 we no longer see him. So GY, there we go. There's got to be a better way to do this. Is he gone? It's the wrong way, isn't it? Yeah, perfect. So he needs to go this way. So I'll say minus 50. Yeah, minus 50. And then I'll just lock that in. See if that's too fast, too slow. I think he should have passed us by then, because otherwise we're going to crash the camera into him. Let me make that minus 70 then. So he just goes and drives a little bit faster. I can also see that Blender's now adjusted the speed again. What did we do there last time, Brian? You had a wonderful suggestion, which was frame dropping. Why does that not work anymore? Maybe we're just overloading Blender here a little bit, don't know. He's driving fast, and we're still scraping the roof here, so it needs to go a little bit faster even. Let's make him go a tiny bit faster. Oh, I didn't lock in the keyframe. Ah, that's what that was. Minus 70. Lock in the keyframe here. Yes, haha, I like it. I might even let him come a little bit closer, so maybe instead of minus 70, I might try minus 60. Oops. I like the idea of going really close to these objects like this. That's kind of nice. We're almost crashing into them, but we're not quite. So I like that. I like that. That is a great idea. We can use the grease pencil tool for that, Brian. That's a great idea. We just draw this out and then we just stick it into the 3D space as a drawn thing. That's a great idea. This is getting better by the minute. I love it. Let's make another save here. Perhaps this could be version 5 with an incremental car now. And since this car worked so well, I think I like another car that would speed up the other way. So we just have him drive from here and just go, I don't know, he can even stop here by the dude, because then I suppose we get close to here. This is kind of he would need to turn, and I think I'm not gonna make that happen, but I make him just stop at frame 200. But until that time, he'll be driving. Let's bring in another car. Perhaps a taxi. It's a city. Cities are full of taxis. Used to be at one point. Import the taxi, call it a taxi, and get rid of this city. Just have a quick look at the taxi, which is also pink. So if I'm clever now, I can just go give Blender this city C texture. Does that? Yeah, yellow taxi, perfect. Saved myself a texture. All right. Fits right in. Fits right in. So taxi. G Shift Z to move you kind of over here, out of vision. And you need to be turned around, so RZ180. Can you see his license plate? You're hovering here, my friend? Yeah, you're hovering, aren't you? Let's go and put you on the ground. Maybe if we see cars close up, so with the van it's not going to be necessary, but if we see cars close up, we can always use a driver to rotate the wheels. That's advanced stuff. We might not do that today. And we said that by frame 200 or thereabouts, he will stop moving already. We don't even get to see him come into vision. Where are you, car? I don't even see you. Oh, I see. I suppose I haven't moved him far enough. Maybe I should just start him here. Maybe I'll just start him here and make him pass. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, we'll just start him here. Oops, GX, move him here, and we'll have him start right there, and then he'll be out of vision. Well, literally by the time we're around the corner, we'll do that. So this is where frame 500 he will stop and be out of vision at that point. You've left the city limits, dude. You didn't have to go that far. Also, he should be on the other side of the roll, right? I think. Yeah, let's make sure he's here. Minus 92.5. Okay, so let's minus 92.5. Let's do that here. And set a keyframe. And then here at frame 0, it should probably also be, it doesn't have to be. Something's clearly gone wrong with the keyframing here. Now riddle me this, where are the keyframes for the taxi then? We've had the same issue with Elvis. I don't know where the keyframes are. I must have done. Maybe it's, again, I'm sure there is an option. I just really don't know how to get it. So it's because it's easier to bring in the car. I might just do that. I might just go and delete the car and then just go bring him in again. Oh, look at that. So I still have all the other bits and pieces for the car. So I'll go and get rid of those as well. Import FBX taxi. Give them the right city texture. So at least now we know we need to park him here. G Shift Z to here. RZ 180. And quickly pop that keyframe in. Now we go to Did I say frame 500? Yeah, we can just about see the road there. So if I now go GY, then there he is. And maybe this is just the wrong, maybe I'm bringing him in from the wrong way. That could be. So GY, and you'd imagine, you see it comes back from this end, I suppose. Dude, it can't be, it's really not that super difficult here. GY, come on, you driving to about here. That's where we want you to stop. It's not that difficult. Are you doing that? Yes, you're doing that. That's perfect. Well, what does it look like? There's cars in the city. There's people, well, one person walking around, one person dancing. Hey, this is good, man. We're doing well here. This is nice. This is nice. And that was really harmless. Just putting these objects in. I mean, especially Elvis, he was really easy. And the guy walking, I suppose by the time I've worked out how to do it, it was also not bad at all. Nicely done. So I can see some more traffic going on there, maybe on the left and right. There's a couple of cars crossing there. See what we can do. I like to maybe change that advert into something that we're familiar with, such as, I don't know, something from us, you know, something either like 3D Shenanigans could be. That could be the driving force behind it. Put adverts for 3D Shenanigans 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, something like that. Or an advert for girls from TNA, something along those lines. I think we've done very well, my friends. If we just keep chipping away at this bit by bit, I think there's opportunities. There can be pimps walking around, hookers lurking on the corners, and, you know, more cars. It'll be exciting. It'll be exciting. I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. I might try and render an animatic, at least of the first few hundred frames here until we see Elvis dancing, and then we can see where we take it from there. Yeah, maybe the first 700 frames I'll render that, and I will see you tomorrow at the same time, at the same place, on the same channel. I take it. I hope you had a wonderful time. Cyberpunk version, that might be an idea. That might be an idea. T-Bank, you've given us ideas. I really like doing these little animations and just testing and trialing them. Eventually, we're going to try and do this in Unreal, but that'll be a few months. Until then, have a wonderful time. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.